And lately, we invested in a compost machine, so we compost waste food, right?
Oh, good. So you handle the waste management yourself too?
Correct.
Welcome to Hospitality Asia channel on HAPA TV. I'm Jennifer Ong, and we're here today with Greg, General Manager of the Western Kuala Lumpur, one of the top hotels in KL. And we're going to talk about how things have changed for the city hotels here in Malaysia, especially after the pandemic, and what Westin Hotel has to offer the guest. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for making time to come to HAPA TV.
No, pleasure. Thank you very much for having me here.
You know, I have to comment, I love the suit and the look. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Like, that's hospitality we're talking about.
You have to be colorful in life, right?
It is. Very true, isn't it?
And it's the recovery. So it's about being joyful, being happy that business is finally back.
Yes, it is.
So, I think, and that's what the focus should be.
Indeed, indeed. And before I start, I'd like to congratulate Greg and, of course, your team and the Western Kuala Lumpur for being nominated as one of the best 30 hotels in Malaysia for the HAPA Awards Malaysia Series 2022-2023. And hence, that's why we have Greg here telling us, hey, what has changed with Westin? And, of course, it was really tough, Greg, during the 2 years, you know, for all hotels and, of course, with the tourism industry. You know, things have really been very tough. How was it like for the Western Kuala Lumpur?
Look, I think that, if anything, the past 2 years have taught us to be agile, you know, to think outside the box, you know. And look, and in multiple purposes. One, from a structure perspective, you know, how efficient can you be, or productive and proactive can you be? And in terms, ultimately, in business, how do you reinvent yourself? You know, everyone has developed takeaway options. We saw a lot of, you know, we start naming them, all the platforms, online platforms that deliver food have been booming and growing. And now the trend is changing. Again, people are going out, people start living again. But I think from a hotel perspective, you know, it was about, besides the survival part of it, I think it gave the opportunity to create a stronger bond with the teams. Because we all were in the same situation. Everyone was in the same bag, everyone had the same uncertainty. So I think somehow it created a stronger synergy with the teams. And a couple of things we did in the hotel when there was no business, and we started doing some paintings in the hotel, some basic work, some basic cleanup, and everyone just went together to do it. So it kept your mind busy. I think something really important. Look, Malaysia has gone through, what, 5 lockdowns?
Yes.
Open, close, open, close, open, close. So you never knew on which foot to dance. But at the end of the day, since May last year, when borders reopened, and then since July, August, restrictions were lifted, right? I think it put a smile on everyone's face.
Indeed.
Right? And we look at the last quarter for 2022. It was better than 2019. 2019 was ultimately the reference year, let's say, right? And this without China business. So it just tells you that now that China has reopened, we start seeing a bit of movement coming in, you know, and I guess in a couple of months we start seeing much more movement. It simply shows that people want to travel. You cannot lock down a human for such a long period of time. Right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And Greg, what do you think, in your opinion, what do you think has a greatest significant change in human behavior, and of course guest experience I'm talking about, and what the expectations are before COVID and after COVID?
Look, from a hotel perspective, hygiene, cleanliness has always been something very important, right? I think that customer expectations have potentially changed a bit towards that, have increased a bit towards that, as prices have increased as well, put it that way. And look, and airlines is a perfect example. Prices have gone haywire, right? Hotels have not gone that far yet, or at least in Malaysia, right? So it remains still a very affordable place to stay. But I think that customers pay a bit more attention to all that.
Right.
I think that during the COVID time, all the focus that has been about health, you know, mental health as well at some point, but as well, you know, hygiene, cleanliness. Even if hotels has always been very dedicated to that, I think there's been an extra focus, and that will stay for a longer period of time, right? Which is good, which is good, because it means that, you know, wherever you go, you know you're going to have a clean place, you're going to have a proper housekeeping, a proper food and hygiene standards, and audits keep on being done internally or by third parties, right?
Yeah.
But I would say that when the time when we had all to wear the mask, it was about how do you smile behind the mask? How do you put the eye contact behind the mask? And that was a tricky part to adapt. Now masks ultimately are no longer mandatory and have been removed. And I think it's about rediscovering each other's face.
Yeah.
You know, look, at the end of the day, it's a people's industry. You can put machines anywhere, you can on and off the machine, but you cannot replace the human connection. And I think that as much as technology has evolved, as much as technology allows you to do online check-in, to do anything you want, it will never, ever replace the personal touch. And I think that emotional connection is what drives loyalty, is what drives satisfaction, and is what makes the difference even more than, I believe, than pre-pandemic. And we've seen with the first few meetings we started having as soon as restrictions were lifted, people say, we want to meet face to face.
Yes.
You know, behind the screen, you're half dressed, no one knows, you know, and your focus is not the same. But when you're face to face, I pass a message, I can read your expression, I can read your comfort or discomfort, and I can adjust what I do and how I do it. And I think that's what ultimately is even more important now than before.
Right? Human connection. The difference that makes the difference. I love that. Really, really, you know, it's all about that part. And how is it now in terms of the system at Western Kuala Lumpur? How much of digital connection is there and how much of personal human connection is there this year in 2023?
So digital has always been very present in how you promote, in how you sell ultimately the hotel, you know, you connect with customers with your mobile check-in and all these different tools, right? But the human part of it, from a check-in perspective, I will still welcome you. Hi, Jennifer, welcome to the hotel. How are you today? You go for breakfast, there's still a human welcoming you to the restaurant, sitting you down. You go to the club lounge, same principle. Housekeeping still remain humans. Chef, luckily, still remain humans. So, and I think that interaction will always be there, you know? And it starts by when you arrive at the hotel at the door, the doorman who opens the door for you, the porter who is there to take up your bags and is there just to welcome you. And I think that's the part, that's the smile you want to see when you enter any hotel.
Any hotel.
Doesn't have to be Westin, it can be any hotel. It's the same, you want to see that smiling face that welcomes you.
Absolutely. And that's why, you know, there was somebody asking me and said, oh, Jennifer, do you realize, why is it that there are no hotels that use the, you know, the mall auto doors, you know, at the front, where there's no one opening? I said, well, that's the thing. You want to be greeted by somebody at the door. You don't want to be working out like a mall where you have the auto door and up and down, you know?
But look, and even if you have the auto door, I think that everyone has a different trip persona, right? So you want someone wants to be welcome personally, and you always have the doorman or the bell. Someone just wants to go mind their own business, and I think it's about reading the different personalities and being able to gauge. Okay, by the first couple of seconds, I know you want to be left alone, and I'll just do what you want to. I know you want to connect, and we start talking, we start chatting, we start how was your trip, how was the airport, how did you ride, you drove in, and then you start gauging personalities differently. And I think that's the beauty with hospitality or tourism. That's human factor part of it. You want to connect, you connect. You don't want to connect, fine. No problems at all, right? But we are here to adapt to that.
Yeah, fantastic. And so you've got, Marriott has 37 hotels here in Malaysia?
Correct, 37 hotels in the country.
And how many more coming up?
Oh, we have another over 10 more properties coming up, you know, and we have one more coming soon. Should be this quarter in Malacca.
Right. And how do you look at the entire hospitality and tourism market here in Malaysia? I mean, we were having a chat before this, and you were saying that, you know, that's really underrated. There's more, you know, there's actually so much more to offer. Can you share with us your thoughts about, you know, how
the good, the bad, and the ugly. No, look, I've been in and out of the country 10 years, and for the past 8 years, fully in KL with different hotels, right? And this is what I've seen. What matters a lot, of course, is location of the hotel, but each part of town has its own market in a way, right? Each part of town has its own business mix. I would say, if you look at TripAdvisor, I think there's something like 752 hotels just in KL.
Yeah.
You know, and there's so many more being built. So there's choice, and choice is always good, even if it becomes competition or a fight for business and a fight for rates and all that. But I think that it has so much to offer, not just scale, but now you see suburbs like PJ being developed.
Yes.
You look at Putrajaya has developed a lot over the past, 5 years?
Yeah.
Unbelievable,
Yes.
right? You have Cyberjaya in between. Then, you go to Langkawi. Langkawi keeps on developing. There's more hotels opening up as well. Penang, the same thing. Malacca was saying we have an hotel opening up. We have a few hotels in Johor Bahru and Desaru as well. So I think that the country is big enough and has a huge diversity from you want skyscrapers, you want great medical, you got all that is in place, or you want nature.
Correct.
You want, you want the wild, you want the forest, you want the activities, you have that as well. And all that in one single place with a great localization in Southeast Asia.
Yes.
Look, you're 1 hour from Singapore, you're 2.5 hours from Bangkok, you're 3 hours from Bali, 2 hours from Phuket. So Malaysia is really a hub, right? And I think that it has a huge potential to be promoted to that level. So we have 37 properties. We have a fantastic loyalty program called Marriott Bonvoy. And we can see that customers that come and stay with Marriott, we want to go and experience different places where there's a Marriott property.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's one way to promote the country and promote the diversity it has as well. And we try to do that with what we call the business council. So in each country, Marriott has what is called the business council, which is kind of the culture arm of the company. So I'm lucky I'm the chairman of that business council for the past 4 years.
Nice.
And we do customer activities.
Right.
We do a lot of CSR activities as well. And we try to engage all the hotels and be present in the communities.
Right.
And that's one way where you can talk about what's happening, not just from, this is the business, this is the hotel,
Correct.
but what's happening a bit outside of that.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I agree with you, Greg. There's so much Malaysia has to offer. And we were, talking about Malaysia, truly Asia.
Yep.
And, when is it coming back? It was here and then it
Maybe
was
after
gone.
that it will come back.
Yeah, and I agree with you. That's the beauty about the hotels that's available here in Malaysia is we have so many different choices and options, whether you want beach or you want it to be in nature or you want skyscraper or you want it to be partying or shopping or whatever. And that's where, it's amazing to see how Malaysia has come up in terms of hospitality and tourism and how many great brands are here in Malaysia. What else is there to offer?
But the culture, diversity, look, it's one of the few countries where you have such a melting pot. And everyone gets along together. Everyone respects each other, ethnicity and culture.
Absolutely.
So when you're a foreigner and you come first time in the country, you're surprised, right, by all that diversity. Everyone celebrates each other cultural festivities.
Right.
That awareness, I think, is something that is unique to Malaysia. And I think that's, wherever you come from around the world, you can find something that suits you in the country.
Yeah, sight, sound, taste, all those stuff.
Yeah.
All those stuff. Okay, so let's now talk about what does the Western Kuala Lumpur has to offer in terms of, guest experience moving forward. Of course, with the new, customer behavior have changed, customer expectations have changed. We're now opening up markets, opening up. China's coming back. What can people expect from the Western Kuala Lumpur?
So a couple of things that we've put in place is that, and that's from a sustainability perspective, as many industries, ultimately, many corporates, so many people are just simply a bit more sensitive to the environment, which is good, and we need to. We've seen globally our climate change is impacting the world. So what we've done in the hotel, we removed all plastic bottles.
Oh, beautiful.
Right?
Right.
And we replaced it with glass bottles, and we produce our own drinking water.
Wow.
Throughout the rooms and throughout the banquet space and throughout the restaurant. We produce it in-house.
Right.
We have a little plant room and it works perfectly fine.
Right.
As a company as well, we replaced all the, the little bathroom amenities that you have.
Yes, yeah.
We replaced it with wall-mounted amenities.
So it comes with the big ones.
And you cannot tamper with it.
Good.
Means if you open it, you break it.
Good.
Right? And there's an indicator that tells you whenever you need to replace it. The other part we've done, we work with some local farmers, hydroponic farming. So you have fresh veggies, fresh leafies. The taste is very different. So we have a couple of vendors we work with, and we offer that in the restaurant, the dining, the living room, as well in the club lounge. Right. And we introduced that, I think, 6 or 8 months ago, and it works fantastic.
Beautifully.
Right. So you make your salad, you get all the different tastes that come to your mouth, right? And lately we invested in a compost machine, so we compost waste food. right?
Oh, good. So you handle the waste management yourself too?
Correct. So we have this machine that we had for the past 3 to 4 months.
Right.
And all the food that is not used, that you cannot donate because it has past expiry shell, right? We have this compost machine and we transform it into compost. And then we use the compost into our gardens. That's the first step. So we've done the test, it works. The plants in the garden are still there, so we know the quality of the compost is there.
Right.
And then we try to see how we can give it away or provide some farmers with compost.
Right? Oh, fantastic.
The idea is trying to have, look, and it's a small step towards sustainability, but it's try to give back a bit to the environment rather than just throw away waste food. We do food donations as well. We work with Ketchara Soup Kitchen. We've been partnering since 2014, right, as a Marriott company as well. But I think we want to do that part individually in the hotel with the compost machine and train our teams as well, don't waste food. You can transform it into something else that can help you along the way grow food as well.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've been working towards that.
Wow, that's amazing. And this is one thing that we're also looking out for in terms of HAPA TV, HAPA Awards. It's always looking out for hotels that invest in sustainability, right? I mean, eco is one thing, but all these things, all these extra steps, and waste management is one area. Oh my God, Greg, I tell you, you're talking about F&B and hotels.
When you have big restaurants, you do 300, 400 packs for breakfast. You have big meeting spaces. You always have some waste. So some food, you can reuse it. We have a canteen, but some food you cannot because it has gone above its shelf time. Right, so therefore, composting it is something that's okay. Let's try to see if it makes sense, if it works, and we've seen that the quality of the compost actually is not bad. Nice.
Okay, and for your guests, what can they expect in 2023 from the Westin Kuala Lumpur?
So look, since focus has always been on customer satisfaction, right? But I think that since we've seen that reopening happening, there's a bit more engagement towards customers, right? So we have this program where we go and meet and greet customers throughout the day at the club lounge. My sales team goes to the club lounge every evening.
Wow.
To get feedback.
Good.
Right? And we found out that, when you get a comment online, you get a TripAdvisor review, it's one thing. But when the person gives you the feedback face to face, it makes such a big difference, right? Giving your business card away and say, look, you need something, just contact me. You'll be surprised at how many people really reach out, and quite a lot reach out, right? So that focus is so important from a kitchen perspective. With that reopening, last year we've have 75% of the team is brand new. So, and you will see later with Chef Zeb. So we have chefs who come from multiple backgrounds, chefs who have all local chefs, right? But they've had overseas experience. So they brought that mix of cuisines with them. So we have revamped completely our buffets, our spread as well.
Right.
And we've seen that, look, Malaysia has always been the kingdom of food. I would say food is God. People ask you, Sudha Makan, before they ask you anything else. It's not, how are you? It's not that, have you had food? So when I first came into the country, I was like, but why you ask me if I had food? What if I say no? What's going
to feed you?
What's going to happen, right? But actually, it's because food is so important.
Yes.
So we've put a lot of efforts into the recruitment we've done, a lot of efforts into the quality of food, as I said, working with local suppliers for hydroponic farming has been something that works. And we created menus around it. Westin has 6 pillars of well-being, one of them being ultimately eat well, and talks about the type of food you have, superfood and different menus we have. Westin has been famous for its beds as well, heavenly beds.
Yes.
Right?
Is it still?
It's even getting better because it's a new version of the heavenly bed being released this quarter. Heavenly bed 2.0.
Wow.
Right? I've had a chance to see the mattress. Look, it's so thick, right? That's how you don't want to get up from bed. The first version works really well already.
Yes,
we
it
have
works.
Plenty of really good comments about it, right? And they're specifically tailor-made for Westin.
Yeah. Wow. Right. I remember, yes, Greg, I remember when Westin KL first opened and it was the heavenly bed, and it was just exactly, you don't want to get out of bed, you just want to stay there.
So now with the second version, we'll try to start replacing step by step our mattresses as well to this new version. So, which is good. And then we've been working with different F&B partners. We've outsourced some of our venues, and we have a brand new Chinese restaurant called EMP. We have an omakase restaurant called Sushi Mew, and soon to open a South American type called Feria. right? So we have the different partners we've been working with, and I think that complements ultimately the offerings of the hotel.
So how many FMB outlets will you have it in a couple of months' time?
So we have 5,
Okay.
right? Some are outsourced, some are run by the hotel, but ultimately it doesn't make any difference because they're in the same building. And you have as well Finch, which is more of a kind of club lounge, right? Or club by itself. So the location of the hotel allows that you can access each of these venues within the hotel or from outside the hotel, right?
Nice.
And I think we found a really good partner in doing that.
That's really
so
good. So important.
The focus is about, giving choice to customers. Look, and there's choice. Just by where the location is, there's plenty of choice. Even sometimes too much choice.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to differentiate yourself, and that's why Westin as a brand differentiated by the 6 pillars of well-being. So we offer run concierge as well. We can take you for a run around KLCC Park. And in and out is about 5 km. So if you have that motivation to go to go running,
put on your shoes and start running.
Yeah, exactly right. We have a run concierge that can take you around. At the gym, we have some equipment that is really about core training, which is something good. We're launching a new program about gear landing at the same time. So there's always something new coming up. And of course, the Marriott Bonvoy loyalty program.
Yeah. So much, isn't it? I mean, just listening to Greg saying, there's so much things to enjoy there, other than the bed, you've got the 5 different FMB outlets, do you have a spa there?
No, we don't have a spa.
Oh, you're going to open a spa, a heavenly spa.
Let's see.
Yeah, so definitely so much to do at the Westin. Great location, as you know, simply so strategically located, shopping centers everywhere. And certainly time to go back and revisit the Westin KL for sure. Greg, thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for being here. Thank you for making time. Love catching up with you. Haven't seen you for a while. And so thank you so much for tuning in. That was Greg, General Manager of the Western Kuala Lumpur. And we'll catch you more at our future episodes on HAPA TV. See you then.
Thank you.